All right. Hello, everyone. Happy Saturday. I know it's a first alert weather day and there are some concerns. We do have a thunderstorm warning, severe thunderstorm warning, and it's in effect till about 3:30. So we've got a little under 30 or so minutes, but what we're looking at right now, 1 inch hail possible and wind speeds up to about 60 miles per hour. So checking in with our National Weather Service Center. So what we're looking at again, this is for Colbert and Western Franklin counties. I'm going to go ahead and see if I can take you a little further into that. So let's look at what we're seeing on radar at the moment. A lot of these areas are still kind of waiting out to see some of this thunderstorm motion moving through. And it's honestly a slower moving system than what we've seen the past few hours. What we've seen as far as our models had it coming in just a hair quicker. So let's take it in a little closer. And what you're seeing right now, most of the shoals seeing a lot of these strong thunderstorms. Our total strikes right now, as far as lightning goes, up to about 54 at the moment. So here's some watches and warnings going into, and I think this may need to be a little updated, but we do have Franklin and Colbert counties still under that watch. Storm timeline, though, we are still expecting this to last for a lot of our western communities through about 5 o'clock. So you've got another 2 hours of this. And some of these folks that are in that yellow area there haven't seen the thunderstorm moving in just yet, any of those severe thunderstorms at the moment. What we are looking at here, though, want to make sure that folks are aware of this. So our storm timeline just gives you the ranges of time here. So the colors are just to be timing mechanisms and make sure that you are aware of what we're looking at for different times. So our central area, though it's in red, it doesn't mean that's a stronger severity. It simply means that we are seeing those thunderstorms moving in around this timeline for that area. Just want to make sure folks are aware of that. So moving into that central area, they'll see showers and storms moving in maybe a touch later at this point, closer to 4 o'clock to 7. And then this is still kind of pushing a little later for our eastern communities, could be more so 7 o'clock. We're seeing this move about an hour or so behind our original forecast. But gusty winds, small hail, and heavy rain are our biggest storm threats here. We are expected to see about 40 plus miles per hour. And per the National Weather Service, what we've seen already from the severe weather statement is that 60 mile per hour winds have already been recorded in a few areas. So what we are hoping to see in the next couple of minutes, looks like, let's see if they want to continue this at all, but severe thunderstorm warning has been canceled as of a minute ago. So that's good to note. Around 3:10, it was canceled. So even still, we are starting to see weakening from these thunderstorms. And that's what we've been looking at as this is kind of changed pace going into these past few days. We've been kind of paying attention to how this is shaping up to be a strong on the front end, but as we get to that back end, things start to wither away and weaken and leave us with some heavy downpours at times. So very small chance of hail and winds getting beyond about 40 plus miles per hour. We were anticipating some 60 mile per hour winds. Haven't seen that be recorded just yet, but per one of our NWS folks, they were saying it has weakened and moved out of the area, and that's why they canceled it. So we still are keeping that threat of gusty winds and hail among the strongest part of the storms, and the strongest part, which you're looking at, is right in this front area here. You can see behind it, though, it does start to weaken as it goes farther back. So we'll start to see that weakening part moving into our westernmost communities. These folks have been seeing these rain chances for about 2 or so hours now. So as it moves through the rest of the valley, we're expecting to see the strongest of it. And you can see it's very short-lived, starting to weaken. And the stronger portion that is starting to gain some organization, that looks like it's pushing farther south. So if you are planning to travel south, or you have friends or family that are kind of in the central Alabama zone, they are also under that marginal risk for some thunderstorms, strong thunderstorms at times. So keep that in mind going into the rest of today. We'll continue to see these strong gusty winds. So I want to take you back to our timeline. This is kind of shifted, like I said, by an hour or two here. So we will start to see the weakening portion of this going into 4 and 5 o'clock for those western communities, our folks in the yellow here. And then as we get to our central areas, that looks like it may pop up closer to 4 o'clock for a couple of those folks, maybe 3:30 to be a little technical here. But even going to our western communities, those folks won't really see that until we get to maybe 7 o'clock tonight. And even still, this is weakening on the back end. Let's see if I can pull it up for you to see. I'm going to find our Doppler so you can get a look at what to expect with that. So I'm going to see if I can zoom in a little bit for you, because you can see that the storm front weakening in the back here. So, and don't mind, you may see our severe polygons placing in and out of this, but those have been canceled. It's just showing in the timeline, the time spread that we have set for it. You can see that it's weakening in the back, and this is really just a strong front with colder air anticipated going into the rest of our weekend. Sunday is going to be much cooler than we saw from even Friday. So you'll notice the stronger storms that have that organization still, they are well south. They're kind of pushing into Russellville. So those folks may have the worst go of it at the moment. But even still, we're only anticipating strong winds at the time. So Russellville is seeing the stronger organization of all these showers here. We're seeing that weakening out in the back as well. So keep that in mind as you make any plans going into this evening. So, but with that being said, looking ahead though, timeline, I know a lot of folks are real concerned about what that's going to look like. We are anticipating to see these showers move in a little slower. Thunderstorms moving in just a touch slower than anticipated. And what we're waiting to see from our National Weather Service is if they decide to push anything back out. This was scheduled to end at 3:30, but as you can see, it's ended much sooner. This is where we're starting to see that organization from those strong storms. And as we take it farther north, it's really losing a lot of that organization, weakening as it moves through the valley as well. So by the time it makes it over to the east, some of these folks may only incur some heavy rain at times. So we still have that timeline, making sure that we do get through our first alert weather day as planned and as scheduled. It's a little slower than anticipated, but that is what we're looking at for the moment. We do have another round of thunderstorms expected going into Sunday as well, but thankfully for right now, still not seeing any updates about severe thunderstorm warnings. So let's look at our threats for the rest of this evening. Like I mentioned, strong wind gusts are anticipated with this, about 40+ miles per hour. We did see earlier with this storm warning, we did see that they were hoping to get up to about 60 miles per hour, probably recording that somewhere, but we haven't really seen anything come in just yet for that. But as we look ahead to heavy rainfall, that's definite for most of this evening. Even as it starts to weaken, we're still going to see a good portion of heavy downpours as it makes its way into our area. Also, small hail. Looks like it's on the lower end so far. Haven't seen any reports. And of course, you can always report things through our Facebook. Make sure that you send pictures into our weather page and keep us posted on what you're seeing outside, because as we're in here to give you all the details that you possibly need. But even still, we're not able to see what you guys can see outside. So anything that you can send us really helps us a great deal going into our first alert weather days. Don't forget that you are able to send things. And frequent lightning, pretty moderate. Taking you back over to our Doppler radar. Still learning to figure out how to get rid of this ring here, but looking at our indicator, it looks like we're getting up to about 65 strikes at the moment. Still seeing a lot of organization toward the Russellville area, and I'm going to pull this out so you can kind of see what I'm referring to. We're seeing this become a more organized stretch of a storm here moving south. So that's what we're anticipating to keep an eye on for the moment. But as you can see, it's starting to weaken as we go through the northern portion, but we'll still continue to see these showers and storms throughout the rest of the night, heavy rainfall throughout the rest of the evening as well. So that is an expectation. Yes, there we go, to clear it.
X. I'll join you guys all shortly. Just letting Jayda get things going here, and I'll join you in the tracking some storms here in a bit.
Yes, so right now we, again, for folks that are just joining in, our severe thunderstorm warning has been canceled. You may see that pop up momentarily on our radar here, but that's just because this is during that stretch of time that we had that. It was going to be canceled around 3:30, so our weather center has picked up on some weakening with these storms, which is always a good thing. We did kind of plan to see some weakening of these storms going into the later hours. As it starts to move into the valley, it starts to fall apart, as you can see, like I mentioned a moment ago. But that's the expectation going into the next couple of hours, taking you back to the severe timeline here. Don't let these colors, don't let them dictate how you feel about the severity. Red just indicates a different portion of the region. So just some different hours for each folks. We may update this because it is moving just a touch slower than anticipated. So where our western communities in yellow, we had them from 2 to 5. It's moving a little, it looks like it may be moving a little slower in some spots, but even still, our central areas and even our eastern areas haven't seen much from this system just yet. We'll see that heading into the 4 and 5 o'clock hours for our our centralized area here, and our eastern areas will see this into the evening as well. We're expecting to keep a good deal of rain behind this going into the rest of tonight. And then for Sunday, I know we did mention some thunderstorms. Thankfully, that's going to be just our run-of-the-mill scattered thunderstorms, not expecting anything of this nature out of Sunday so far. But again, we just want to make sure everyone is aware of what's going on. We did see thunderstorm warnings coming in to our National Weather Service, so we wanted to make sure that we give you the updates that we have for the time being. Let's go ahead and take a look at our storm threats again, just to refresh you with it. 40+ mile per hour winds. So far, haven't seen much past that. I know the National Weather Service was looking to see even about 60 miles per hour, but we have seen some damaging winds thus far. So keep that in mind. If it hasn't reached you just yet, we will still probably see these strong wind gusts going into the rest of this evening. So go ahead and secure the things in your front yard. Anything that you feel may take off in the wind, go ahead and secure now. Heavy rainfall, high chance of that. And as you can see with the radar, we are going to see those heavier downpours at the front end of this. So when it starts to get into your neck of the woods, that's going to be the brunt of those storms for you. And as it goes through the rest of this system, you start to lose some of that heavy downpour and some of the strength alongside those wind gusts. Small hail, very low chance of that. So we're keeping that on the lower end. It looks like we were expecting to see probably an inch out of this, but again, haven't seen that produced just yet. But make sure you send in pictures if you do come across any of the hail that's in the area. Send in pictures if you do get that in your neck of the woods. Haven't seen it so far, but our messages are open for that. So with that being said, a lot of these areas are starting to just see just some plain old rain at this point. Looks like the strongest of the storms are starting to move towards Moulton, Athens, Decatur, still a little ways away for our eastern communities, but we want to make sure you keep that in mind going into the next few hours. We'll keep this around for a good portion of the night. So here's what we're looking at for the rest of this evening, though. I want to zoom out just a touch so you can get an idea of what this entire system is picking up on. So as you can see, strongest of the showers going through the front end of this, because we do have, oopsies, I didn't mark my marker there, but we do have a cold front moving in with this. So with us having that near record-breaking heat this week, we were just a degree shy of a record, I believe, on Thursday. But 80 degrees, we're typically around 60 at this point. So with our air being so warm, any cold air moving in is going to cause a little bit of an issue with fronts. So this is where we're getting these strong storms from. That's kind of a fuel to the fire with these storms. So the front end looks stronger than the rest of it because it starts to move in and starts to weaken as it meets warmer air and a larger air mass there. So keep that in mind. And again, if you are just joining us, you may see those severe thunderstorm polygons picking up at times. They're just from the previous model runs as this starts to move through the area. So we aren't expecting to see any updates on that particular area at the moment. Looks like the worst of the storms has moved out from Colbert and parts of Franklin County. So we're starting to see it move to the central areas. And at this rate, what we are anticipating is a couple of other severe thunderstorm warnings well south, because we are seeing some organization going into the southern portion of our communities here. Just outside Russellville, looks like they're seeing that organized right over their heads, really. So keep that in mind, that that's what we're looking at for the rest of this evening. So other counties that should be on watch for the moment, looks like Limestone County. Lawrence is seeing parts of it. We're moving through that area. Winston and Coleman, all those folks should be up next. In our Tennessee communities, looks like it's moving through Pulaski, Giles County, specifically at the moment. But we'll see a lot of our central communities see this within the next hour. Again, it's starting to gain some strength and move farther south. I'm going to see if I can pick up, one of our radars. We just are getting into the office. They are issuing a severe thunderstorm warning for Colbert, Franklin, and Lawrence. And like I mentioned, I did say this was the area that's starting to see a little more organization with some of these strong storms. I'm going to make sure I pencil that in for you. So these areas are seeing more of that organization, and the stronger storms are pushing south. You can even pick that up going into Hamilton and further beyond that, coming out of Amory and Aberdeen, Mississippi. So a lot of the stronger storms have shifted to our southern communities. So our folks that are in our southernmost counties, that's Franklin, Winston, Coleman, Lawrence, even Morgan County, I would say as well. You folks may see the stronger of the storms, because what we're also watching is the weakening from the northern area. So from, I would say, Pulaski all the way to just north of Moulton, we're seeing that kind of weaken. Looks like we may have a slight area of rejuvenation right off in there. Looking ahead, though, to the rest of this evening, I'm going to pull up my hour by hour for you. So, like I mentioned, stronger storms pushing to the south. And then as we go through the rest of tonight, we're anticipating to see some possible pop-ups and rejuvenation of stronger storms back in the southern portion, but it becomes widespread around 6 o'clock. Most of us will see rain going into those 6 o'clock hours. So once we keep the umbrellas out for tonight, we're going to need them for most of the evening ahead. It's probably best to just stay inside for the moment. It's going to be a damper of an evening. Getting into about 7 o'clock, that's when we start to see a few pockets of heavier rain, possible storms, but nothing of the severe range there, because we do start to lose daytime heating. A lot of times, some of these storms pick up on our daytime heating, and that kind of gives a cold front a little more fuel to the fire as far as our thunderstorms go. Then at right around 9 o'clock, we'll still see some shower chances and some heavy pockets of rain and a few storms out there to the east. A lot of those folks were anticipated to see that around 8 and 9 o'clock tonight. So seems like that's right on schedule. And then the overnight hours, our southern folks will see another pass through of light rain at around 1 a.m. So Sunday still has its own set of rain chances and some possible thunderstorms going into it. But that's our forecast going into the rest of this weekend. Like I mentioned, though, if you're just joining us, we do have a severe thunderstorm warning. This is including Colbert. This is also Franklin and Lawrence counties. So those areas have received a severe thunderstorm warning. We are expecting still 60-mile-per-hour winds, quite strong, and this is until 4:15. So looks like we have closer to about 45 minutes or so with that going for this afternoon. What we are expecting with about 60-mile-per-hour winds, that's typically damaging to roofs and siding or even trees. So if you have anything in your front yard that's decorative, go ahead and start securing that now if you haven't. And we're also seeing reports of possible penny-sized hail. So keep that in mind as well. So anything that you do come across in your neck of the woods as you're going through this, you know, we are indoors giving you a full look at this forecast, and it also hasn't made its way over to Huntsville just yet, so we aren't able to see anything here. But if you see anything that you would like to share with us and just to give us some visuals to work with, make sure you send them into our newsroom, send them in here on Facebook, wherever you're streaming from. You can send those in and make sure that we are seeing things as they happen. So if you come across any hail, or if you just see anything outside that's, you know, a stormy looking sky, heavy rain, videos of heavy rain, absolutely feel free to send those in, because we do want to see what's going on outside. It's just hasn't made it here just yet. So once again, taking a look at our radar, once we get through this front part of the storm system, it's really just that front right along that. That's starting to give us some issue bringing in thunderstorms. And like I mentioned a little bit ago, we've had some warm air, really above average. And what we are anticipating is the fact that with this cold front moving in, that's going to add a lot of strength into the thunderstorms, because it's really just combating one another with these fronts. So we start to get these strong and severe thunderstorms, and that's why it also happens this way in the summers due to convection. So a lot of our folks in the northern communities, I'll see if I can, let's get you a little closer to that. So our northern communities along the state line, even going closer to Fayetteville, those folks are starting to see a bit of a rejuvenation. We are still a bit above average with this forecast. It's quite warm, and with that, like I said, they're battling one another with the cold fronts, and that's what's strengthening these storms. But that also going into the back half of it, once we start to get that cooled air moving in, starts to take that severe thunderstorm down, and that's why we're seeing it weaken, because it's reaching an air mass that is quite warm. Temperatures for tomorrow are expected to drop back into some low end 70s. So this is our Doppler radar here. Once again, we're seeing areas of Colbert County. We're also seeing Lawrence County and Franklin County. Eastern Franklin County, southeastern Colbert County, southwestern Lawrence County. Those are the folks that are seeing the brunt of this storm right now. You can really see that it's falling apart in the north. As it reaches Athens, you can watch here, it's starting to fall apart if you watch this area here. So that's what we're looking for, trying to see this kind of fall on top of itself and really just leave us with some heavy rain at times. But even still, we have a cluster here over near Russellville, Phil Campbell, Moulton. I know I have a couple of folks that like to tune in from Phil Campbell. That's where we're seeing the strength of these storms right now. It's really shifting south. The strength of the storms are shifting to the south. So if you have any travel plans, or you know some folks that are in central Alabama, we're expecting to see some strong storms out of that area as well. So keep that in mind. Make sure you notify your folks and family as you can. So far, as from what I've seen, low tornado potential. Very low tornado potential for North Alabama. I haven't seen much from our central folks, but for the most part, you can kind of watch this pick back up as it goes to our southernmost communities. So again, the counties that may see the strongest of this: Franklin, Colbert, and Lawrence for sure, but even Winston, Coleman, and by the time it gets to Moulton, it looks like Moulton and even Morgan County, it looks like it may lose its strength by that point. But even still, this is moving a little slower than what we originally anticipated. So that means it could move south slower than we anticipated. So keeping that in mind. For our folks that are just joining, I want to make sure everyone is aware of what's going on at the moment. Here's the bigger picture. We will see some weakening at the back half of this for our northern communities. But right now, severe thunderstorm warnings for Franklin, Colbert, and Lawrence, specifically the southeastern area of Colbert County, eastern Franklin County, and southwestern Lawrence County. That's where we'll start to see some of that the stronger storms pick up. And the strongest of them, as you can see, are really shifting south as this continues to move. We're still seeing this kind of move a little slower, but we do have some warm weather in the valley at the moment. We are well above our average, so that's what's considering, this is what's kind of changing the forecast a little bit for us. Pulaski looks like they are still getting a good deal of rain. This looks like it's moving and shifting over to Decatur, Hartselle, and Double Springs may also get a strong shower or two. So keep that in mind going into this evening, and we'll keep that going into the next couple of hours. So.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. First Alert Meteorologist Eric Burke alongside forecaster Jayda Russell. Hope you're having a good Saturday. Some of you getting rained on pretty intensely right now for our northwestern Alabama counties. This is unfolding probably in the best way we could see this happening. Really, I know Jayda has mentioned that tornado threat overall is very, very low. I'm not saying we're in the clear entirely as far as that threat. Some of these storms, the one in particular that was warned initially for parts of Franklin County, they dropped the warning because it weakened below severe criteria, and then it started to pulse up again. And I think she's done a good job pointing this out. It's going to be the storms kind of on the southern edge of things, like you see there now in Franklin, far southeastern Colbert County, into southwestern Lawrence County. That's probably going to be the strongest part. So you might hear some distant thunder if you're in Decatur, or actively seeing some rainfall now pushing into parts of Limestone County, Athens. But the strongest part that we'll continue to watch is just that one little part that does have the severe thunderstorm warning on it now. So if you could take the radar full screen, please. We're going to be here with you for the rest of the afternoon. Now, at last check, this storm was moving around 30 miles per hour. At least that's what the warning by the Weather Service was for this. So if we're going to put a quick storm track on this, so you go up here, and we're just going to let you know exactly when this is headed your way. Pull that out. We'll go about 35 miles per hour. Just give you a little bit of some wiggle room there. But this will be in the Russellville area basically now. And I know Jayda has mentioned if you have any storm reports and you can do so safely, please send them our way. You can email the newsroom, send us your photos. We love to share those. We like to get that ground truth, as we call it, out to Old Bethel at 357. Hatton will be 406, Moulton 417, North Cortland 418, and the Cortland area around 420. So this is moving in an east-northeasterly fashion, which is actually kind of the opposite of what the models were showing. It kind of had it dropping in more northwesterly to southeast, and this is moving more southwest to northeast. Now, a lot of that probably has to do with the wind field. I know a lot of people are probably seeing some sunshine. Yes, that could add to a little bit of our instability here as this continues to track to the east. But I think in general, once we start to see some of these outflow winds, that gust front, if you will, I think this is very quickly going to turn into a heavy rain event accompanied by some thunder, some lightning. We will still see some gusty winds and potential for some smaller hail there, but nothing that I've seen so far looking at the radar shows anything rotating more or less. And again, our wind field is not as favorable for potential rotating storms. And obviously that is great news. Now we could still get some of these gustier winds aloft getting pulled down to the surface, and that's where you could see those gusty winds. I know the warning is out for winds up to 60 miles per hour and potential for some penny-sized hail. But this is what we're looking at. You go up to Athens now, kind of on the northern edge of things, and when we go up to Athens, we usually switch the radar site over to high top. So you're still seeing some pretty intense rainfall, and this also goes for areas in northern Lawrence County too. Cortland, you've got Town Creek there. These are the areas that are going to see the heaviest rain, potential for some small hail with this, but also frequent cloud ground lightning. Now, it is the weekend, and it's been a beautiful day up until the storm started to move in. So a lot of people are still outside right now. If you hear thunder or see a flash of lightning, obviously it's time to cut your outside plans short and bring things inside. But as a general trend right now, things are looking pretty good. I know meteorologist Jeff Denoyer has pointed this out this morning too. The farther east these storms are going to go, I think we really quickly see the severe weather threat dropping quickly, and we see a lot more heavy rain potential. And this could linger very well until 9, 10 o'clock for places over northeast Alabama.
Absolutely, and that's something else we were kind of looking into with that storm timeline. We will make changes as things go, but taking a quick look at that. Again, don't let the colors dictate how severe things are going. We just use this to mark those regions. So we've seen this move in, and we're well past that 2 o'clock hour, and it's still kind of toward those areas. So 2 to 5 for our western communities, centralized communities in the red there, about 3 to 7, and that's pretty accurate, maybe about 30 or so minutes off, give or take, but still going into our eastern communities, those folks will start to see stuff popping up in their area as far as those storms go, right around 6 to 9 tonight. So what we are watching for, again, as Eric said, he did say that some of these warnings that have been coming out are expecting to see about 60 miles per hour wind gusts. So expecting to see some strong stuff going into this evening. But thankfully, we are starting to see that kind of weaken on that back end. So we can get some repulsing, but there's still some hope that we may find some
I would say the general winds moving through would be about 30 to 40 miles per hour, and that's kind of what we've been stressing for the past couple of days when we put out that early first alert for your Saturday for storm potential. Now, the storm that is kind of going through that pulse phase, the one that is warned right now in central and eastern Franklin County heading into west, southwest Lawrence County, that's the one that could produce some of those stronger winds, especially if you get kind of a collapsing effect. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to put out a big old storm timeline for you. I know Jayda was sharing the timeline graphic, but this is going to kind of give us a better idea, give or take. So this is if it's moving at 38 miles per hour. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to extend this over the next 2 hours here. And you're just going to see kind of this is a very rough timeline of what we're potentially looking at. I know all these places are going to start popping up, but there's the next 130 minutes here. And this is kind of give or take maybe 10 minutes in either direction, earlier and or later, but just kind of a rough storm timeline for what we're expecting. And the rain is going to continue to spread out. If you are west of the heaviest line, once I clear the storm track off for you to give people a sec to kind of comprehend, take it in, and plan the rest of your afternoon, evening accordingly. Once you get the strongest winds through your area, what you'll have left over is some lingering thunder and lightning and probably just some steadier rainfall behind it too. So if you're already out there in Waterloo, for example, your severe weather threat or any chance of stronger storms has ended for the day. Not saying that rain is going to immediately wrap up too. We're going to have some lingering showers, but for the most part, your strong to severe storm threat is over there. Basically, if you are, why is my storm track not? Oh, that's because I still have it up here.
Nice.
There we go. Okay. Basically, just to use our little telestration tool, always feel like I'm calling sports highlights. If you are west of this line here, so if you're in the Quad Cities there, Florence, Muscle Shoals, Tuscumbia, you guys are okay as far as any threat of stronger storms. Still some chance for lightning and obviously actively raining on you at the moment, but your chance for storms is over for the rest of the afternoon. We said you would be first to be hit, probably seeing some of the strongest storms there. And now hopefully continue to see this general weakening trend. But this is going to be kind of a longer duration event, but really probably just turning into a lot of heavy rain with thunder, lightning, and some occasional 30 to maybe 40 mile per hour winds for the rest of the afternoon. Jayda?
Absolutely. So that is something that we are trying to gauge. We're going to continue to stay on that for you. So far, haven't seen much of an update from our folks with the NWS. Still seeing that severe thunderstorm warning till about 4:15, southeastern Colbert, eastern Franklin, and southwestern Lawrence counties. So now we are in about 30 minutes with that. So we still have a good ways to go. But of course, what we have seen, like Eric mentioned, we're seeing some possible reports. Hazards are 60 miles per hour wind and penny-sized hail. This would be a wonderful time if you are seeing that in your neck of the woods. Make sure you send that in for us to see that, because again, we're here in Huntsville. Things haven't quite made its way over here for us, but we are only able to see as much as you all are able to see. And right now, looks like it's in our western communities. So it's good to note that we are going to see some weakening on the back end of this. But again, this is what we've been tracking all week, seeing about 30 to 40 miles per hour at best with these winds. Even the hazards going up to about 60. Haven't really seen much of that, have we? I don't think anyone's mentioned anything of that nature so far. So we are starting to see rain kind of cross its way over to Athens, Decatur, making its way just across I-65. You can kind of see it's popping up just a tad in Madison County, just one little sprinkle shower there, one little heavier shower, but we are making its way to our central communities. So like Eric mentioned with that storm timeline, keep that in mind that you may have to wrap some things up if you're out in New Hope or even in Scottsboro and you have been outside for most of the day. You may want to start wrapping some things up because it's on its way throughout this afternoon and evening.
Yeah, just enough heavy rainfall out there to kind of ruin your afternoon plans. But hey, make it an inside day, make some dinner with the family, and you guys will be all set. Of course, Jayda will have the latest coming up on our newscast at 5 and 6. And of course, 10 o'clock this evening. By 10 o'clock, the threat for severe storms will be over. We'll still be tracking some rain on the radar, most likely. But for the most part, things are looking in a positive direction as far as the limited instability. We don't have that favorable wind field, too. You know, anytime we get a cold front coming in during the month of March, things can go very differently. As you know, it's not uncommon to get tornadoes in January. I've tracked them in January, February, March, all the way through July. We're capable of having tornadoes here. Not looking like one of those days, and that's
always good.
Great news. We never root for storms here, but we are here to keep you informed and safe on your Saturday. So you can always check the latest using our free 48 weather app too. And of course, if anything warrants it, we will cut into golf programming, I believe, is on. Now they're down there at Bay Hill. Looks like a beautiful day in South Florida. I wish I was out there on the links with them. Played today, not great, but I played golf today, and then here I am spending my afternoon with you guys. So no place I'd rather be. So yeah, things are looking good. Still have that active severe thunderstorm warning. Wind gusts potentially about 50 miles per hour. I was using the radar tool on Velocity if you want to pull it up full screen again. And we'll just kind of see what we're looking at as far as the winds. So I'm going to turn the lightning off because it's helpful for certain things, but it does get to be a bit detrimental when you're just trying to show specific things. If you look at some of these winds that we have now, these might not necessarily be down at the surface, but we definitely have some stronger winds associated with this warned storm. And what a lot of times happens is the heavy rain will pull those stronger winds aloft down to the surface, and you get kind of that, not necessarily a microburst, but you kind of get that collapsing effect, and you get that big rush of wind. And if you think about dropping a water balloon, when it hits the ground, that water needs to go somewhere. It doesn't go in the ground, it spreads out. And that's where we get the tree damage and potential for maybe some power lines coming down. That's also where we're also looking at the most concentrated lightning, too. If you go out to Hackleburg and Haleyville there, Marion, Winston counties, a whole lot of lightning there. Now, with this northeasterly kind of movement of these storms, we'll be watching the southern end of things, potentially having some impacts down the road for you in Morgan County, into Coleman County as well, maybe even all the way north into Madison County, just based on how these storms are moving and where there's kind of that untapped air here where things are going to be far more unstable if you go in an area like this. And that could provide the fuel for those storms to kind of strengthen a bit. So things are cooperating now. Marion, Winston County, they are controlled by the National Weather Service office in Birmingham, and we're kind of between the two zones there. We mostly work with the Weather Service in Huntsville, obviously, but we've got our partners to the west in Memphis, up to the north and in Nashville, too. So it's a big kind of collaborative effort here as far as the warnings. But right now, I like the trend. A lot of you seeing lightning, a lot of heavy rain, some gusty winds, maybe some smaller hail, too. But not seeing anything jumping off the screen that, screams this is getting a lot worse by the minute. So that's obviously positive news all around.
For sure. So we are still seeing this kind of on the western side of I-65, but the farther north that we go, it's getting kind of close to crossing over. Yeah, there you go. So we're seeing that kind of crossing over for our Tennessee communities. Going into Athens, Decatur, you all are starting to see some of those heaviest storms at the moment, stretching all the way over.
And you could show our cameras out there in Decatur. You've got actually right there at the bottom of your screen.
Oh, perfect.
Yep, there you go. We can see what's happening. I'm sure it's facing to the southeast at the moment. So not quite seeing the rain moving in. We'll probably see some flashes of lightning here. Give it about 10 minutes or so But this is a pretty slow moving line of storms. They're not moving at 50, 60 miles per hour. No, it's moving probably 25 to 30 miles per hour in an east-northeasterly fashion. So you're going to hear that thunder for a long time before these storms actually start rolling into your area. But that's also Mother Nature's way of saying, hey, maybe you should go inside. Because lightning, obviously very dangerous. It's just not good to be outside. We see that all the time in the summer. People are out and about, and unfortunately someone ends up getting struck by lightning. So
right, always unfortunate. You want to make sure that you are kind of listening to what the forecast is looking like at the moment. I believe the Shoals still has a good deal of rain on their camera. Let's see. Yeah, you can kind of see it's still gloomy over that way. Starting to see some lighter trending of showers, thankfully, for that back end there. But let's see if I can pull over their radar at the moment. Yeah, so starting to see the lighter of the showers for that back area there, which is always good to note. But again, we are still keeping an eye on this front track here, the front part of this track here, because this is the strongest portion of it. So again, we've had some very uncharacteristic weather. We're usually around 60 or so degrees, the 60s as a range going into the start of March. And as you've noticed, temperatures have gone from those mid 70s all the way up to the 80s. So we are anticipating to see some of this thunderstorm activity, because again, this is much warmer air. And as Eric mentioned, when we start to see areas that haven't quite seen, like over in here, my fault. Seeing areas that haven't seen much of a change over in here, that it's been nothing but a nice day. That's what kind of adds in that extra fuel to the fire, so to speak, to get that going. So again, for those that are joining us, we did this a little bit ago. I'm gonna try and do my best at it, getting a storm track going. So what we can see here, I may have done that a little wrong, but what we can indicate is that we'll see this going through most of our evening, going into the 8 and 9 o'clock hours for a lot of our Eastern folks. So,
and then pull.
And then pull.
There you go. And then you got to match, see how the speed pops up?
Uh-huh.
So we'll click it and it will set it.
Okay.
There you go. Keep going back because you want
back.
about 30-ish.
Yeah.
Do 35. Give them a little buffer there.
Sweet.
And then click again. There you go.
Okie dokie.
And then if you click on this box, you can move
and shift it
said
over.
Box. Yes.
Sweet.
It's a fun toy. It has a lot of
lots of new things.
Little
yes.
Quirks, I guess, is
Yes.
the best way to put it. And then once you get it, you're like, oh, this is the best.
Perfect. This is new technology for me. I usually used different radar technology, but here's what we're looking at so far. Still for about the next, I would say, hour and some change, or we're still kind of waiting for the strongest storms moving into our central area. Looks like it's crossing over I-65 in the northern portion. So really looks like Limestone County and part of Madison County at the northernmost in the state. And then as we look to our Tennessee counties, we're also looking at, I believe that's Lincoln and even parts of Moore County. I know those folks, it's a little tough to get some of their coverage for them, but hopefully they're able to get our stream here. So here's some of the areas that we're looking at. Capshaw about 4:02, that's about 10 minutes. So far, haven't seen much of a change from NWS. They haven't put out any other severe thunderstorm warnings. This is still in effect well over into Russellville. So this is still Colbert, Franklin, and Lawrence counties that are seeing this till about 4:15. Haven't seen any others as this continues to move, and it's moving a little slower than we anticipated earlier this week. But by the time it gets over to the Harvest area, that'll be in the next 5 or so minutes, and it'll be around Cliff Farm at about 4:09. So this is kind of a 10-minute stretch, and as you can see here, it's moving smoothly. Canebrake seeing the first of their storms, the first line of that moving into their area. So really right now, we're expecting to see some of our wind gusts picking up to about 30 to 40 miles per hour. A lot of these warnings that have been coming out, 60 miles per hour has been kind of their standard statement. so far. Haven't seen any reports of that just yet, but Mill Creek Elementary is starting to pop into our box here. Around 412 is when you guys will start to see these storms. It'll start off a little light in some of these areas. Let's see if I can kind of move in a little bit. Parts of Madison County seeing just a touch of these storms here, but it'll start to fill in as it gets past Limestone County. It's there in Athens. So you're seeing a sneak peek there, pulsing out just a bit, but even still, we're expecting to see a greater chance with that storm move the southern portion of it starting to be a little stronger than we anticipated. But even still, this is much better than the low potential of tornadoes that we saw earlier this week. Not seeing that at all. We saw that in some of the prediction outlooks looking ahead to this weekend. We haven't seen much of that, if any of that at all. So good to note. If you are in some of these areas that are hardest hit, and this is really looking to our Franklin, Lawrence County, Colbert County, and as it continues to move in through Mississippi, I know some of these areas a little farther south, but even Winston and Coleman counties, as you start to see some of these stronger storms moving in, please do send us what you are seeing and make sure that you send it in and give us what you're looking at, because we're here in Huntsville and we're just now starting to see some of what you've been seeing for the past hour or two. So let's see if I switch over here. I think that's just fine. So again, here's your severe weather timeline. And this is a broad stroke, really. It's moving a touch slower than we anticipated. So what we're looking at right now for the central areas, right around 4 o'clock is where a lot of our central folks are seeing. So that red part in the middle. And for those that are joining us, these numbers don't, or these colors, I should say, don't exactly represent the severity of the storm at all. It's just depicting the different regions. So our red areas where we're looking at right now, they're starting to finally see these storms move in, and that is closer to 4 o'clock for a couple of those areas. And there's even some folks that won't see these until around 4:30, because it did state that around Cliff Farms, that Mill Creek area, starting to see those around 4:09 to 4:12. And I'll go back and show you that more accurate timeline, but this is our blanket here. Looking to our eastern communities, you'll see this well into the evening. Haven't seen any updates thus far going into the rest of our National Weather Service chat. Not too many updates there so far. And if for folks that you're still seeing sunshine out your door and you're trying to figure out what you're going to see and come across tonight, this evening, we're still tracking about 40+ mile per hour winds. Heavy rainfall is a must. That's definitely going to happen this evening. And small hails on the lower side of things. So if you do come across hail, let us know. Send us videos, send us pictures for sure. Frequent lightning is also moderate. Right now, I believe our indicator is up to 97. Yes, 97 at the moment. Or there was 122 a moment ago. So we're starting to see this kind of repulse and really bring itself back to light. So as we go through this, I'll see how things are shaping up in our Huntsville chat for the National Weather Service. Let's see. So Colbert has been canceled out of the severe thunderstorm warning. Let's see. But it does continue to be in effect for Franklin and Lawrence until 4:15. So again, the reason that we are starting to see some of these strong thunderstorms is because we've had some very uncharacteristic weather. It's been much warmer than typical for this time of season. We're usually in those mid-60s, and we've seen weather stretches up to about 77 and even 80 degrees. I think we were about a degree shy of a record a day or two ago. I think this was Thursday. So with that starts to add in some extra fuel to the fire for these cold fronts moving in. And usually when cold fronts move in, you can kind of see the stronger storms on the front of those. And that's going to cool us down to some mid-70s going into Sunday, which is a touch cooler than what we've seen from the past couple of days. But that's where we're going to see a lot of these thunderstorms overnight tonight, dropping our temperatures even into the 50s for our lows this evening. Some folks may see about 56 and a little warmer than that, but it's going to be a chilly night for a lot of us. Let's go back to your radar here. Once again, we are still seeing that that severe thunderstorm warning still out for Franklin and Lawrence. That is still for 4:15, so we've got another 17 minutes on that. And I'm going to go ahead and pull out a storm track already. I feel so
You've got the power.
sophisticated.
Yeah, you've got the power now.
Now that I've officially learned how to do it. So Toyota Field has now been, there's been a lot of folks added into this at the moment, about 424 at that point. So if you're around that area, that'll be in the next, I would say 30 or so minutes, not too far off from that. But Capshaw areas, I know some folks around that way that we're going to see those showers and storms moving into your area in the next moment or so. But even Sparkman High, Cliff Farms, you're in the earliest moments of 4 o'clock, about 4:02 and 4:04 respectively. Cliff Farm at 4:07. So Mill Creek Elementary, those folks that live over that way, Madison Mid-City, a lot of those folks will start to fill in around 4:15 to 4:21. This is still moving about 20 or so miles per hour, even 30, I believe, but this is where we are at the moment. So keep that in mind. It's making its way through our central region, going into those areas for the moment.
Yeah, and you know, we just look back at the week we had. Weather-wise, fantastic. If we want to get really particular, it would have been nice to see a little more sunshine a couple of those days.
Yeah.
If we did have a lot more sunshine, I think we would have had days with 83, 84, maybe even 85 for a high. But we did deal with a lot of cloud cover, and then we knew that that change was coming, that change being the cold front. We had another strong cold front coming on Wednesday, likely Wednesday evening of next week. That will drop temperatures. We're not going back to, you know, bitter cold wind chill values or anything like that. But you'll notice a change. Yeah, I'm pretty over that. But, you know, once we kind of transition from full on winter, it's 4 o'clock in case anyone was wondering.
Yes.
But transition from full on winter where we had those very cold mornings, a couple mornings had the wind chill below zero. This is the other side of things as we are now in meteorological spring. That started on March the 1st. We've got official spring, calendar version spring starting March 20th, the vernal equinox, if you will. And then just these days are going to get more and more active. We're getting into our peak severe weather season. Things have been tame here recently. No complaints coming from your 48 First Alert weather team. I don't think many complaints coming from you at home. No one rooting for severe storms, but this is kind of what's unfolding. Right now, general threat for widespread severe weather is low. I think we'll see a few more pulse-type storms through the remainder of the afternoon and evening. We're going to start to get some rain-cooled air coming in. If you see some of the features, it might be hard to see depending on how you're watching this. You get these little dots out in front, and that's actually the gust front. Get all that heavy rain coming down. Now, sometimes if the air is a bit more unstable, that could actually trigger some stronger cells out in front of it too. I don't think we have the setup in the atmosphere on a day like today to actually see that happening. But if this was April and we had a dew point over 70 degrees, you know, we'd be watching that very closely. But strongest storm right now is exiting parts of eastern Franklin County, heading into west, southwest Lawrence County right now. That will start to track into the central Moulton area here eventually. Moulton just outside that warning. And I would say based on radar trends and the lack of communication from the Weather Service about this warning, I would say they're probably going to let that expire. Because remember, that was our first warning of the day. They dropped it. The storm kind of cycled back through, pulsed back up. You get that threat for collapsing storm with the gusty winds. That's why they dropped the warning on it. And I think the wording was for pea-sized hail. But these storms don't have the big updrafts like we saw a couple Thursdays ago with all that hail that we had. A lot of those storms were producing some larger hail, which, you know, that could happen this time of year too. But from what we're seeing on radar, the atmospheric dynamics, I just don't think we have that set up. And that's great news too. Now, outside plans certainly impacted. If you know, I was driving home from golf earlier, and someone had this big, beautiful tent in their backyard, and you know they rented this thing, and you know that cost a lot of money, and they probably have some kind of a big birthday or something, and it's like, that tent, hopefully the winds aren't too strong, but you know the tent will keep you dry. But if you got lightning and everything, obviously inside is the place to be. Beautiful tent though, whoever that was. But yeah, go back to. I guess we could show them kind of the hour by hour if you look at the
Or
some of the hourly. Yep, and we can kind of just walk them through. So this is 4 o'clock, and if you look at how that is lining up to what we just had at full screen on the radar, it's doing an okay job. I think this is the model is going to be running a little bit faster than what we're actually seeing because these storms were supposed to be moving a little bit quicker than what they are now. If they absolutely slam on the brakes, this could possibly turn into a flooding event. I don't really see that happening because we do kind of have that push from the west to get these storms moving. If you are not getting rained on at the moment, and if you look at the clouds, we've got that strong southwest wind, and those clouds are moving in all levels of the atmosphere too. But if you just want to, Jayda, walk them through kind of the rest of the evening. Again, this is just kind of some of the guidance that we're dealing with. Now, the leading edge of this is where we would, where are you? What am I looking for? Not that. I want, is it that?
We have so many things we can do.
Yes, so many things. So this leading edge here at 4:30, again, I think this would be more, probably closer to 5 o'clock, just because things are slower. This leading edge would be the one producing that threat for those gusty winds and hail. Now, everything behind it that you see behind that leading edge, that's just going to be the heavy rain, some lingering thunder and lightning too. So
for sure,
it looks like the threat for stronger storms wrapping up, I'd say maybe 6 o'clock at the latest. That's the number I'm going with right now. Place your bets on it.
Lock it in.
But how long the rain sticks around after that, this is what Jayda's going to show you, because it is going to linger, and not just through the later evening hours. Eventually you start to dry out into northwest Alabama, maybe 7, 8 o'clock. And we'll see some periodic showers even with us overnight tonight into potentially early Sunday. Now, Sunday also brings occasional rounds of rainfall possible. Might have some impacts if you're heading out for church worship services. Maybe you go for that extra long run or bike ride. You exercise enthusiasts, I'm so jealous of you. You might have to have that raincoat with you tomorrow. But showers just kind of off and on through the day. Hard to pinpoint, will be far more scattered. And tomorrow does not bring a threat of stronger storms. It's important to stress that. So Sunday looking far more tame than what we got on your Saturday at 4:05 radar. With these storms now crossing over I-65, which means we could show them the Athens camera.
Yes.
See what's going on along I-65 there at Athens 65 and Highway 72.
Let's see. Athens. Let's take a look outside.
I bet you it looks pretty mean. There you go.
Yeah. Slick roadways for sure. So if you are still getting to where you're going, drive safely. Remember that these roadways will be slick for a good portion of the evening because, like we mentioned a moment ago, these rain chances, it's going to rain for most of our night ahead.
Yeah, and just looking at what we see in Athens, the temperature has dropped. We are much warmer than 69 degrees. That's part of the rain cooled air coming in, maybe some of that gust front. Now, where this camera is positioned there, I don't think you've seen the heaviest rainfall yet. And I could tell you, if you could see I-65, it's some good rain, but it's not the real heavy rain, because I have seen this camera is just a blur. And I think as I speak right now, we're actually starting to see
it,
maybe the winds picking up. If you look at some of the trees, these are going to be non-severe winds, maybe 30 miles per hour. But I think the heavier rain is going to start to intensify right now in Limestone County. Seeing a couple cells blowing up now in the northern part of Madison County. If you're up there toward Newmarket, for example, you've got beautiful hazel green up there moving through the Ardmore Twins, as meteorologist Jeff DeNoyer calls it. And if you're also there in Lincoln County, if you're in Fayetteville right now, no more threat for strong storms for you, but you are still expected to see some heavy rain and occasional thunder and lightning too. Up there in parts of Moore County, eventually Franklin County too, we're starting to see those little features, those gust fronts pushing in. So that's a look at Athens. We'll, go ahead.
Severe thunderstorm warning has expired for Franklin and Lawrence as of 4:05. So
good news. So no active warnings. I do believe they did put out just the special weather statements there. That would be for Franklin, Lincoln, Moore up there in Tennessee. That's what I was just referring to.
Right.
Please put the radar back up
real
quick.
Sure.
Sometimes we start talking and we forget what we're actually showing you.
Yes.
There's just a lot of clicking, a lot of buttons. Just so if we talk over the radar, at least everyone knows what we're looking at. We were showing you the Limestone County camera. So up there, into parts of Tennessee. up there, moving through Fayetteville. So if you're in eastern Lincoln County, this is heading toward Moore right now, and the strongest part of this might just clip kind of northern Winchester, but up there into Franklin County in Tennessee, the northern part of the county, probably going to see the greatest chance of not only frequent lightning strikes, but also those gusty winds. All right, let's go to our traffic triangle, our metro area here. There's Newmarket, mentioned you guys a second ago. Meridianville is going to move over A&M, probably north, actually. North of that, you've got Ardmore. Ardmore, your threat for the strongest storms, gone in 10 minutes. If you're out there along 53, all that heavy rain that we just showed you moving through Athens along I-65, this is coming your way. Quite a bit of lightning there. It's going to move along 565. So if you know anyone traveling on 565, they're about to get a pretty good deluge, if you will. And then this is also moving through Decatur, too. Really quick, I guess we could show the Decatur camera.
Yeah.
See what's happening there on the Tennessee River and the bridge.
Let's grab that one.
Just to kind of give you guys some of that outside look. So obviously, pretty decent rainfall there. Temperatures falling significantly, 65.
You can see the top on the water, too.
Quickly, do you have your current temps here? I just want to see how much this rain-cooled air. I'm really putting you through your paces here, Jayda. It's
You're all
I'm calling for things left and right. I am using my manners. I'm saying please and thank you at least. So,
let's see.
Those are forecast. If you type maybe current
Is this?
DMA temps.
Yeah,
there we go. See. And yeah, look at the change.
Absolutely.
In temperature here. You're close to 80 degrees still in Winchester up there in Tennessee, the metro areas. But then you go down the road just from Huntsville to Decatur. Think of that drive. It takes about 30 minutes, give or take, based on traffic. It's a Saturday, a few less people on the road. We're not talking about an evening commute or anything like that. But you go from 65 to 77. And once you feel those temperatures drop, that's when you know your threat for stronger storms is over. Now, it will be a cooler rain. I'm not going to say cold rain, because we've had some events with cold rain where we're at like 34 degrees. Whew. And, you know, we're all not focusing on any threat of winter weather, thankfully. I'm pretty over that season.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be a lot more of this for the next 3 months probably. But, yeah, some heavier rain moving through Decatur right now. Like the trends that we're seeing, no active warnings. I know you still see it flashing there in kind of the corner.
I think it's trying to catch up to that closing.
Yeah, it usually takes a minute or two. And then moving through Moulton, and if you look at the lightning for our area, about 60 strikes. Now, this is for the past 10 to 15 minutes. Now, if we include the southern edge of things, going right on the county line between Marion and Winston County, between Hamilton and Double Springs, notice how the lightning goes up. So even though this leading edge pushing through the metro areas, can you go to radar, please?
Yes.
Again, I forgot what I was showing.
My bad. I started going through
you're good.
Chat as well. There we go.
And I'm going to pause it, too. This is probably our next candidate as it moves maybe into southern Lawrence County, maybe heading toward you in the Hartselle area, maybe Priceville, Decatur down the road. This would probably be our next candidate if we do have a severe warned storm. This is probably going to be the one. We're seeing an uptick in lightning with this. Again, no rotation concerns with anything we've seen so far.
That's always good.
So, yeah, positive news there. But that's probably packing some pretty decent winds to that cell that I just highlighted. Again, out of our viewing area, but Marion, Winston County, just based on these storms moving from southwest to northeast, this is going to track that way. So we've got a tool for that. We're going to pull this. We're going to go 37 miles per hour. There you go. Double Springs 430. Moulton would be 452. Again, that's probably going to miss you to the south there in Moulton, and then out to Speak around 459. So that's probably our next candidate for our strongest storm. But the things moving through the metro right now over I-65. This will move down 565. This is going to be a ton of heavy rain, thunder, lightning, maybe some 30-mile-per-hour winds. We haven't got a single report of any size hail today, not even pea-size hail, because those reports also go into the Weather Service. It's not always just severe hail reports coming in. People will say, hey, pea-size hail in this location at this time. We don't have a single hail report. we don't have a wind report yet too. So things are looking good for the time being. Jayda?
Yep. And what we are looking for right now, if you do come across anything to show us, any pictures, anything of that nature, go ahead and send it to us. I'm scanning our Facebook to make sure, I'm covering everybody's concerns. But yes, what we are seeing right now is really good for the moment. What we were anticipating earlier this week, again, National Weather Service mentioned about 60 plus miles per hour with this wind. So we aren't seeing that at the moment, which is always, again, good news. No rotation as well. Good news there. So we are just kind of playing a little bit of a waiting game with that same area that Eric mentioned a moment ago, where we started to pick up some of that lightning. I'm going to go ahead and get this radar back going for us, see if it'll catch up. But again, that would be the next candidate. We also are seeing some lightning picking up right around Athens as well. So we'll keep an eye on that. But again, looking up to our Tennessee communities, we are still seeing some of these showers pulsing. So let me see if I can get over to Fayetteville, Lincoln, and more counties. So there we go. We are still seeing a little bit of pulsing with some of these areas, breakaway storms as well. So as we get through this brunt of those storms, a lot of the western communities that saw this first are really just left with some light rain. As you can see, looking at Florence, see if I can switch our radar back over so we can get a good look at them. As you can see, it's really just that consistent light rain for them. But as we get through these storms, that's one of our concerns, is making sure that we aren't seeing too much of that repulsing activity. Once again, if you are in our eastern communities, High Top, Scottsboro, Fort Payne, Jackson, DeKalb counties, folks that are still seeing gorgeous days outside, Marshall County included as well, make sure that you are starting to think ahead and just be cognizant that we could get some of those showers and storms moving over that way in the next, I would say, 2 hours. So go ahead and make your plans as need be. So once again, I am still making sure I'm used to this. There we go. And let's do about 30. There we go. So here are the areas right now that we'll see these storms moving in the next couple of minutes. Looks like Mill Creek at about 4:16 in a minute or so. And at Mid-City, we're looking at Toyota Field and Bridge Street, 4:24 to 4:25. New Market at 4:26, and all the way to 4:30 for Addison and Hartselle. So keep that in mind if you are still making your way, maybe you're making your way home or you're making your way to somewhere indoors. Just be indoors by those particular times. So what we are kind of predicting with this, it's a cold front moving in. We've had uncharacteristic weather for this time of year. We've gotten about, our temperatures typically are around 60-ish degrees, maybe a little warmer than that, mid-60s usually. And we've had days where our temperatures have been in the 70s, well into the 70s, low in 80s for a couple of these days as well. And so that has been a little bit of a catalyst in this cold front moving in and producing these strong thunderstorms, because there's a lot of that warm air that it has to fight against. So we're really just seeing the battle of two cold fronts happening over our heads. And you'll notice that our clouds have been moving quite quick this afternoon as well. So once again, for our folks out in the west that haven't seen much activity other than your nice, beautiful sunshine, I would say a lot of our folks over here, this is where we would start to see those storms possibly pulse back up. And that's why we're also looking at some of the storms. They look like they're weakening just a tad, but they do gain a little strength as they start to move into other areas that the air hasn't been touched. It's pretty stable. It starts to bring in some instability, and that starts to get things trending into some thunderstorms. Still haven't seen any updates from the National Weather Service, which is good to note. The last thing they had for us was that severe thunder warning that expired about 10 minutes before their original output. So it's about 4:17 for those joining us at the moment. We are still watching this storm system move its way through the valley. It's about halfway through, moving slower than we anticipated. Let's see if I can pull up our Decatur camera just to get a look outside. If it'll pull up for us. Yes, you can really see the wind gusts indicated by the water here. Seeing some chop on the water, and that's definitely some quick moving wind. We're still getting about 40 or so miles per hour at the lowest rate. Some of the warnings that have come in have indicated that we could get to about 60 miles per hour for a couple areas. Haven't seen reports of 60s just yet, but we have seen a couple of reports of those 40s in a few areas. I'm going to see if I may be able to, I may not be able to do that at the moment, but it's okay. So right now, for those that are still in that sunny weather, or you may just be in our group of folks right around Madison County, Morgan, even Coleman County, that you're starting to see the first wave of the storms. Oh, and Lincoln and Moore as well, moving over to Franklin. You may want to know what the threats are looking like. Here's your threats right here. 40+ mile per hour winds, like I mentioned, are moderate to high chance with that. And then heavy rainfall is pretty high. And really, once we get through these storms on the front edge, we're still going to see a good deal of rain going into the overnight hours, because as this starts to break apart, we're still going to be left with some back end showers. So once we start to get rid of the lightning and the severity of it all, strong wind gusts, we're still going to see those rain chances going into the later evening hours. And then again, small hail possible. We have seen the National Weather Service tell us to be on the lookout for that, with about P2 penny sized is what we've seen so far reported in the area, to just be on the lookout for. Frequent lightning as well, moderate. Our counter is up to about 163 as of 4:20. So that is definitely packing a punch with some of that lightning for sure. Once again, if you can possibly hear some of the rumbles of thunder farther away, so you kind of can hear that as it gets closer to you. You may not see anything overhead, but you can hear the storms for a couple of miles. So wanting to make sure that folks are aware of that. I'll take you hour by hour to show you what we're expecting for the rest of the night. So this is about 6 o'clock. Like I mentioned, we're going to be left with some of those rain chances as this splits apart and really leaves us with some pockets of heavy showers. We start to lose some of that strong wind gusts, especially as we go into sunset. We lose some of that daytime heating, which essentially kind of cuts off some of the fuel for these stronger thunderstorms, because like I mentioned a little bit ago, kind of relies on coming into a warm area. And what's really kind of helped us here too, with these storms staying on a lower end threat so far, is the fact that our dew points are still pretty in, I believe they're in the 50s and maybe the 60s in a couple areas. But usually you want for them to become stronger thunderstorms and we start to see more severe activity, usually dew points start to cross over into the 70s for that to start happening. Thankfully, we're below that. So that's kind of helped us here as well. But like I mentioned, getting to about 6, 7 o'clock, we're expecting to see some leftover showers from that and losing some of the severity that we've seen so far. And once again, we are still seeing a good deal of that lightning outside for the moment, but around 7 o'clock, we'll see some areas out in the west finally getting some drier conditions around the Florence area, Russellville, just a few of the counties, Lauderdale and Colbert to name so far by that point. And then as we get to 9 p.m., still left with some areas that'll see some heavy rain going into those overnight hours. And then our southern communities will deal with this. And I'll go back to radar in a moment to show you what we are anticipating is like the stronger part of the storms. Those southern areas starting to move a little south for us. So we start to lose some of the stronger storms to central Alabama. But going into the early mornings for Sunday, early morning hours, starting to see that light, consistent rain going into those morning hours. So for folks getting up for church, maybe you are an early riser for most days, and even just getting out for some early exercise. We're expecting to see that still have its own set of showers and some possible thunderstorms, but nothing of this level that we have a first alert weather day up for today. So we're keeping it still pretty undercover as far as just your run-of-the-mill summertime storms so far. Not expecting anything beyond that. So looking back at our radar here, like I mentioned, some of these storms in the south that are producing really heavy lightning at the moment, we're starting to see that shift to the south, farther south, and we start to lose it to our southern communities in central Alabama. So for my folks that maybe you were traveling, or you know of some folks that live out that way or were traveling that way, have some outdoor events going on. I know we've got a couple of last couple of basketball games being played in the state. So I believe there are a few areas in Birmingham, and even I know our A&M girls did a good job this season. But for anyone that's still out with some of the sports that are going on, make sure you are well aware of that coming into the area as well. So could see some changing in the venues for sure.
Yeah, right now, no active warnings. Good trend. Still a lot of heavy rain. Just spoke with meteorologist Jeff Denoyer, saying that he'd estimate about a 40-mile-per-hour wind gust. And I think based on what I'm looking at on the radar, I happen to know where he lives. I think that would be the gust front coming in too, out in front of all that heavy rain too. So you don't have to actively be seeing heavy rainfall to get those stronger winds rolling through your area. So good report from him. Again, anything you guys care to share about what you're seeing, always appreciated in the comments. But a lot of heavy rain right now moving through Morgan County from Hartselle to Priceville to Decatur. This is the worst of it is moving through eastern Athens and eastern Limestone County. This is going to cross over the county line, heading toward the Harvest, Monrovia, Tony area, right along Research Park. That's coming your way too, up 53. And then if you, again, I just like to tell people from time to time, if you are west of this area, you are all good. But also note, we have some lingering lightning strikes behind this. So even though your threat for strong storms, gusty winds, and everything is gone, you'll still expect to see some periods of heavier rainfall and occasional thunder and lightning, even behind that main line too. But if you're out there in Russellville, saw a healthy storm roll through earlier, well, things are going to start to quiet down pretty quickly for you. You'll have a nice steady Saturday evening rain coming your way. But this is all about to move into the metro areas now. Just we could put a quick storm track on this. Fayetteville, you guys are all right and all good up there as far as your threat for stronger storms for the moment. Still anticipating some heavy rain. We're just going to go like this. We'll go 35 miles per hour because why not? And there's your timeline. So this is going to move over the Toyota Field area. This is now crossed over Huntsville International Airport there on the western part of Madison County, and then just continuing to track off to the east and northeast. This is heavy rain, probably 30 to 40 mile per hour winds, and not seeing any hail reports coming of this. Heading toward Mid-City, there is always something happening out at beautiful Mid-City, and heavy rain just moments away now coming in. The Marshall Space Flight Center 430, Hazel Granby 434. You got Meadow Hills 438, Huntsville downtown proper 438. So this is going to pass over the station, and we usually get a pretty good indication of how heavy the rain is. If you've worked here long enough, you know the difference between light rain, moderate rain, heavy rain, and oh, that is hail. And we also had some wind events too, and I could have swore that the HVAC units on the roof, I was surprised they were still up there, just how things were shaking in here. It gets pretty intense sometimes tracking these storms. It's not one of those days, thankfully. Out there toward Winchester, 441, Moores Mill, 444. Ryland, I happen to know that area pretty well, 448. You've got Newmarket there, 451, and finally Maysville. So that's kind of the northern end of things where we have seen the storms staying below severe criteria. Now, this cluster on the southern edge of things is where we've had those warnings. We're still going to intently watch this storm. That's right there in Winston County right now between Haleyville and Double Springs, heading toward Grayson and Addison. This is where we have the most concentrated lightning, and that is usually an indication that this is potentially cycling up, pulsing up, or just strengthening. If we had kind of a setup with a favorable wind field for a tornado event today, if we saw that lightning jumping up, that would be almost a surefire indication and that we could have something brewing. Not the case. I'm going to repeat that. Not the case today. That is great news, too. But this is going to continue to track into parts of western and northwestern Cullman County. This is probably going to affect you in parts of southern Morgan County. And then even looking down the road, depending on how this moves, is it more east or northeast, this could move through Arab, eventually Gunnersville, and continue its trek as it goes towards Sand Mountain, too. So something we're watching. Since I put a storm track for you folks to the north, I will give one for you southern folks because we care about all of you. There it is, Priceville, 429. HSV, the airport there, 431. Toyota Field, already mentioned that. Triana, it just depends on where you draw the start of your storm track, because I know it said Toyota Field was now it's pushing it back 4 minutes from now. It all just depends on where we draw that initial line with the storm track. Easier to do with the mouse than it is to do with your fingers when we're in continuous coverage on the wall, but it's great we have that technology. Anyways, Addison, 448. Grissom High School, 450. The Arley community, 454. Lacey's Spring there, 459. And heading toward the Jones Chapel area after 5 o'clock. Again, we do have a newscast coming up at 5. Speaking of that, Jada, I built your 10-day forecast for this evening.
Sweet, thank you.
Yeah. Days like today, you come in and you hit the ground running, and then you're like, oh man, I didn't do my normal duties.
Right.
It happens, but we'd rather be tracking these storms for you and let you guys know what's happening. So that is kind of the latest. I'm just going to kind of reset the view. Always good to kind of do that from time to time, put it in motion, let people know how these storms are moving. A lot of heavy rain, 30, 40 mile per hour winds. Could be out ahead of this line too. That gust front we keep talking about. A lot of lightning. That's been a consistent thing we've had this afternoon. I looked at the temperatures and the dew point. If you already had the line move through, you're right now in the low to mid 60s. Ahead of the line, we still have temperatures in the 70s, but our dew point is just in the low to mid 60s. Now, as we go farther into April, the end of this month, even April into May, we start getting those dew points in the mid 70s. And that is a juicy atmosphere, and that's why we have those more significant severe weather events when we've got a lot more saturation, a lot more instability. We're not tracking supercell storms, obviously. This is just kind of a cluster, a broken line of storms moving in, producing that heavy rain threat.
And right now, I think we just got an update, a special weather statement for a few counties. Strong thunderstorms impacting northern Marshall, Jackson, Madison, southeastern Limestone, Moore, southeastern Lincoln and Franklin counties through 5:15. Marshall, Cullman, Morgan, and southeastern Lawrence counties as well. So they sent in 2 special weather statements through about 5:15. Once again, we'll be on air at 5 o'clock to get back through this, but the hazards right now, wind gusts for sure going into some 40 mile per hour for some areas, but the hazard has a 50 mile per hour watch out there for us, and gusty winds could also knock down a couple of tree limbs and blow around if anything that's unsecured. I think Eric mentioned a little bit ago he saw a really nice event tent in someone's backyard, so hopefully those folks wrapped some things up before this all got started. But anything of that nature that you have that's unsecured in your backyard or even your front yard, I know some folks love their lawn decorations. Make sure that you have moved those in the house if you have not already seen the rain in your area. Still good to move it in the house if you have seen it. But what we are looking at, once again, front end of these storms, we are seeing it lighten up for a lot of our folks in the shoals. Looks like they may see couple of heavier showers going into the next couple of moments, but lightning indicator still pulsing up to about 128. So we are seeing a good deal of lightning out of this. It's making its way over to our western communities. So that's including parts of Newmarket, High Top as well. So keep that in mind that if you haven't seen it just yet, got another hour or so where it's going to become pretty widespread. So again, we have a show going on at about 5 o'clock, so I'll be here giving you a full update of what to expect. So hopefully you feel briefed, you feel like you know what's going on. We're going to expect to see a good deal of these showers and storms moving into the next few hours. Should things change, we're of course here wherever you're streaming this, Facebook, YouTube, anything of that nature. And we are also on air and we'll update you on our Facebooks as things start to change. Make sure you tune in. So Keep that in mind as you go through the rest of your evening. Once we get ready to take some things off air, we're still here. Making sure that things are going as smoothly as possible.
Just want to mention that heading toward the Huntsville metro area now into Madison County, this is going to be some of the heaviest rainfall too. We'll probably wrap this stream up around 4:50 or so, and that's only in preparation for the newscast that's upcoming. But we still got you for about another 20 minutes. Jayda, I have my workspace open on Max 2 in the back.
Yeah.
If you want to start building some of your show, I could kind of hang out here for
Perfect.
a bit. And there comes
we're hearing
the
it.
rain. You will probably have to open, I don't know how this is routed.
Okay.
So,
Because I think this is my workspace.
yes. Deep thoughts here amongst your 48 weather team. Just trying to find the best way to do this. Just try and see what you could build from your show in my show that's open.
Okay.
And then you'll have that 10 minutes to kind of throw anything last minute together.
Yeah.
Okay, good deal.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right, you're stuck with me, First Alert Meteorologist Eric Burke. Happy Saturday, everyone. Glad you're with us. Wish we were doing something more fun. Wish we were hanging out somewhere on a beautiful day, but no, we've got the storms rolling in. And right now, I bet you our cameras along 565 are pretty active. I believe that is, yes, there's my 565 camera. Pull that up for you. Yeah, a lot of heavy rain right now along 565. Headlights, taillights, always a good indication that we're not seeing any major slowdowns. Probably high enough rainfall rates, though, that there is going to be some ponding and puddles forming on the road. So we're mostly going to stick with the radar here just to show you exactly what's going on. And this is all coming in, and there's still a pretty good concentration of lightning. This is going to be right over kind of the Research Park area. You've got 255 south of Harvest there. You've got Monrovia up 53. Big concentration of lightning. Probably pretty noisy in those areas, along with that very, very heavy rain potential too coming in. These winds with this are not going to be severe. They'll probably be about 30-ish miles per hour, give or take, maybe upwards of 40. Go out to Gurley, little cell popped up out ahead of the main line, and that was probably triggered by that gust front itself. Remember, we're moving now into the most unstable air, kind of the air that's been untouched by everything so far this afternoon. Things have been quiet in Jackson, DeKalb, even Marshall County. You guys are going to get your heavy rain, wind, and lightning threat coming up here over the next hour or so. But healthy downpour right now over you in Newmarket. We've got a few showers that just kind of popped up, but this is moving into western Huntsville right now, and it's going to move right over the city too. So if you are maybe out there in the Owens Crossroads area, you probably have the wind coming your way. That's the initial gust front, and then probably 10 minutes behind that big surge of wind initially is where you're going to get that heavy rain threat. Moving down south or along the Tennessee River, you've got Hobbs Island down there, Triana, beautiful Triana, heavy rain moving in, most of the lightning concentrated to your north. Not forgetting about you in Morgan County, we've got Decatur, Priceville, Hartselle. The heaviest rain yet to move into Hartselle. You had a pretty good downpour move through just a couple of minutes ago. You've got a lot more coming in behind that. And then still watching kind of what we'll call our tail end storm here, at least for our area. Obviously, this system extends far to the south. This is a pretty impactful line of storms for a big portion of the southeast U.S., at least from Mississippi. There's our first rumble of thunder that we've heard, at least at the station. I'm sure some of you have heard it consistently here this afternoon, at least for about a 30-minute window there. But we will continue to keep an eye on the storm that's moving through Winston County, Double Springs. So if you are in Coleman, anywhere there in western and northwestern Coleman County, Jones Chapel, you've got Vinemont there. This is going to come your way, and this is probably the most intense storm that we have right now. Rain picking up on the studio roof as it does, talking about these storms moving into Madison County at the moment, or at least moving through the city of Madison, tracking east on 565 and heading right here toward the Huntsville metro area. But we don't have any severe thunderstorm warnings at this time. That is great news, obviously. I'm not seeing any concern of a tornado threat at the moment. Our winds have been sub-severe, not saying that they're not gusty. 30, 40 mile per hour wind, that could even take down some smaller tree limbs too. And it could blow your patio furniture around. If you've been patio furniture shopping, you know how expensive some of those items can be, and you don't want them blowing around. It is the weekend. I'm assuming most of you don't have your garbage cans out, but they might tip over if they're on the side of your house or something, or in front of the garage. But a pretty decent line of storms. We've got quite a bit of lightning with this, and it just, everything continues to track in. I'm going to put a big old storm track on this. I'm going to pause this. I'm going to take the lightning off, and you're going to get the biggest storm track we have drawn all afternoon long coming your way. We're going to go with a 36 mile per hour gust, and I'm going to extend this for the next 2 hours. Here you go. And I'm going to move the timeline over to the areas that no longer have a threat of any strong to potentially severe storms here. You guys are still seeing steady rainfall, some lingering thunder and lightning, but as far as the threat for still the gusty winds, maybe some small hail, the lightning, the heaviest rainfall, this is where it is, and this is where it is going to be when you look at that storm track here. So I'll leave that up for a second, take a sip of my coffee. First coffee of the day. Didn't have one this morning, but as soon as I got in, I said, it's coffee time. We need to get fired up, keep the stream and the energy going and flowing here. So power out in Harvest. Okay, Madison, thank you for that report. That is power went out but back on. Balch Road and Capshaw. Candy, thank you so much. Your guys' reports are awesome. I know our executive producer, Mike Brown, out there in the newsroom, working hard on the 5 and 6 o'clock newscast. I know he's been around here long enough that I'm sure he has some kind of a power outage map pulled up, whether it's Huntsville Utilities, Decatur Utilities, any of the other co-ops that we have across the area. I'm sure he's keeping a close eye on things as far as power outage potential. Now that could be an actual power pole that maybe got pushed by the stronger winds. I don't think our winds are strong enough right now, and our grounds aren't saturated enough to actually see power poles coming down. It could always be an accident. Someone, driving on wet roads in a downpour, and they might have hit a power pole. There's any number of things, or even a tree branch or tree limb could have come down on some of the lines, or you just had a transformer blow. Not sure what causes these power outages on a day like today. We certainly have the winds out there to support that. So just things we're continuing to watch. But that's your storm track. We'll put the lightning back on for you. Lightning counter is still up there, over 100 strikes. And you pull back the view. Now, this is only using the high top radar site. So this line of storms does extend farther south into parts of Mississippi there over Columbus. If you actually switch the radar site, you can see how far southwest. But if we really only see this many warnings there coming out of Action Jackson, Mississippi, a pretty good trend overall for how this event has kind of unfolded. We knew we had a threat for some severe storms. We had 2 severe thunderstorm warnings issued already this afternoon. We weren't expecting a massive severe weather event, but we did first alert this because we've got heavy rain, we've got gusty winds, we've got lightning, and it's all lining up with your Saturday afternoon. And it was a beautiful Saturday morning, and people want to be outside enjoying some of this gorgeous weather here. So we are not under a watch of any kind, and actually if you are a weather enthusiast and you know about the Storm Prediction Center there in Norman, Oklahoma, issuing those mesoscale discussions that they put out, we were never even included in a mesoscale discussion today. They put one out for areas to our north, the National Weather Service in Nashville, dealing with that mesoscale discussion, but we actually never even had a mesoscale discussion put out. And if you're keeping score at home, that is good news for us. You don't really want to be in those meso discussions. They also put it out for winter weather. If you get a snow squall, heavy band of snow, or a blizzard event, they'll put out those mesoscale discussions for that too. Just kind of add that in. But yeah, things are moving along. I would say if I pause it and put another storm track on this, and if we go the 35-ish miles per hour, how long do I have to extend this for the end of the storms? It doesn't go out that far, unfortunately. I'm trying to give you, what would be the official all clear. I think we were initially saying about 8 p.m. for that, last threat of storms. That might still be plausible. Maybe between 7, 8 o'clock for you in northeast Alabama. Big cluster of rain moving through and then eventually east of you in Newmarket. This is going to head toward High Top. Fayetteville, you guys are good again as far as the winds. Lingering rainfall, maybe some lightning up there in Winchester. Pretty good downpour. Then also just kind of through downtown Huntsville, areas to the north up to Meridianville. Harvest, there's 53. And then heading south down 231. If you're in Madison, you're going to get a break. But there is still quite a bit of thunder and lightning along with heavier rain here over portions between Trinity, Decatur, and areas just west of I-65 in Morgan County. So you get a little bit of a break, but then still potential for that kind of secondary wave to come in. So not out of the woods just yet there as you're in Madison. Going down to Hartselle, Falkville. Good afternoon to you too. Quite a bit of rain, lightning, all moving in, and then just the rain filling in behind it. Moulton, Hatton, out to Cortland, and then still watching this southern storm moving through Double Springs, Grayson, Addison. This is probably going to be, I've said this before, our next candidate for the strongest storm, potentially, that we'll see for the rest of the evening. Hope it is, and hope things start to wind down pretty quickly. Obviously, the sun sets, and then we're just, that will kind of lower our instability even more once we lose daylight there. But some of you really popped some sunshine here through the afternoon, and that surged our temperatures up into the mid to upper 70s. The first part of the morning, definitely an overcast, and then we started seeing some breaks in the clouds by late morning into the early afternoon. That's when our temperatures shot up. And if you've been outside at all today, that southwesterly wind is it's been persistent, and that's just your general gradient wind kind of blowing things around. The difference between high and low pressure, that's your gradient wind. Then we've got the gust front wind, then we've got the surface winds, and we've got the storm-related winds. There's a lot of winds to deal with this system coming through. So again, your 48 news at 5 coming up here in about 14 minutes with Nolan Crane. But yeah, definitely tracking a lot of heavy rain. But this event is really unfolding positively for us here in the Tennessee Valley. Still got some rain, wind, and lightning, but things are looking in a good direction here as we're starting to now get into the later afternoon hours. This initial line right here, this is where that big wind threat is. And by big wind threat, I mean 30 to 40 mile per hour winds. Once this passes, severe threat is over for the evening. We've got lingering showers for a good portion of your Saturday night, depending on what time you're calling it quits and going to bed this evening. But this is what we've got. Storms moving about 30, 35 miles per hour in kind of this east-northeasterly fashion here. So that's what we've got going on. How strong will the storms be when they reach Rainsville, Lisa? Lisa, you're probably going to see just about what everyone else has seen. I would guess 30 to 40 mile per hour winds. You'll see some very heavy rainfall like I hear on the roof of our 48 studio right now. And you're going to have a lot of thunder and lightning. Maybe some pea-size hail, but I think that's a stretch at this point considering we haven't got any hail reports coming in. And a lot of these storms even have just, the Weather Service has been putting out special weather statements basically where they're acknowledging we've got a strong storm, but it does not meet severe criteria. Everything is criteria based when it comes to issuing a warning. As you know, with tornado warnings, when they are issued, it's either radar indicated or confirmed. They have these criteria to put out warnings. With a severe thunderstorm warning, it would be hail 1 inch in diameter or larger. That is quarter size or larger hail. They could put it out just for hail, or they could put it out for wind. 58 miles per hour or stronger, severe thunderstorm warning. And then if needed, they could add different tags to it, such as considerable. So if we get wind gusts maybe 70 to 80 miles per hour, they could put out a severe thunderstorm warning with a considerable tag, just saying, hey, this is a severe storm, but not just any severe storm. This is really packing a mean punch here. But most of these storms today, other than the 2 severe thunderstorm warnings, have stayed below severe criteria, things we love to see. So Chris got pinto beans and cornbread cooking. Now that sounds pretty good right about now. That's a good rainy day meal. That's the way I look at that comfort food, if you will. Trying to think what I'm going to make for Sunday dinner. Haven't decided yet. We'll have to check with my wife, Heather, if she has a taste for anything in particular. But no active warnings for us at this time. Ton of heavy rainfall at the moment. I'm just going to leave the radar up for a second. I'm going to step away. I just want to look outside the newsroom and see what's actually happening versus what I'm looking at the radar. I will be back in 90 seconds. All right, I am back. I think that was less than 90 seconds. So just confirmed with a member of our digital team that is working hard behind the scenes. We're going to wrap this up at 4:53. That will give forecaster Jayda Russell a minute to kind of get things together, get all lined up for our newscast. Again, that starts on air or wherever you stream. Here at 5 o'clock, hope you join us. Got the news at 6, and then by 10 o'clock, I think Jayda is just going to be tracking a few lingering showers and talking a lot more about your Sunday that could bring some periods of rainfall from time to time. But things look pretty good on radar. Yes, we've got thunder, we've got lightning, we've got 30-mile-per-hour winds with this and possibly some small hail potential, but nothing is severe. This is going to be probably most impactful for anyone that is potentially not paying attention to the weather and is just kind of caught off guard outside, or the people on the roadways, because I think our rainfall rates are high enough at the moment that ponding puddles and just general poor visibility on the roads. When I went to look out the window, it's so dark right now just because of the heavy rain and the cloud cover, obviously. So no active warnings. Potential for strong, severe storms continues. Not until this initial line is over the state line off to our east into parts of Georgia are we going to kind of officially wrap up any threat for strong storms. Haven't seen these storms pulsing up yet. Again, the cell in question is going to be kind of this cluster here coming out of Winston County. We'll move into parts of western Coleman County here and maybe even clip you in southern Morgan County. Eventually down the road hit you in Marshall, Jackson, and DeKalb County. So keeping an eye on that just because it has the most lightning. This storm is not warned at this time, but could produce some of those stronger winds. So everyone, thank you so much that has been hanging out with forecaster Jayda Russell and myself here on this Saturday. Again, we've got a newscast coming up at 5 o'clock. Join us wherever you watch your television, or you could stream us on our website, WAFF.com. You can watch us on the news app, wherever you stream, wherever you choose to stream, you could find us there. But again, tracking this line of storms right here has the potential of producing those 30 to 40 mile per hour winds. Could even see some winds out in front of this with that gust front. A lot of heavy rain, a lot of thunder and lightning too. Nothing severe at this time. Jayda will have the latest coming up on our news at 5. So For meteorologist Eric Burke, I appreciate your time. We will kind of judge how things are going in between the 5 and 6 o'clock newscast if we start another stream, and we will let you know. So thank you so much. Stay safe, stay weather aware. You can always track these storms right there on your 48 weather app. Have a good day.